Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm from group 2, which is the topic of today is skill executions and performance enhancements on volleyball. So we go to the next slide. Okay, so this is my group members. We have 5 group members, which is the first one is Haziq, second one Umi, and the third is Izzah, and then Sazrina, and my for the last one is me, Nurul Nadira. So next is so for the first one is introduction. So I'm going to tell you about volleyball. If you don't know about volleyball is a team game, which is played by 6 player on the both side, which is 6 player on this side and the other side. So total is 12, which is our players, and then the opponent, so 6 against 6. So in this game we play until 25 point, which is the first team that got 25 points will win the game. So in the volleyball we have 6 position, and every single position in the court have a different role. So they will play different roles to make sure that the team will wins the game. Okay, next is the law of volleyball, which is we know every single game have a different law. So for volleyball, we have a server, which is the server need to serve at the end of the line of the court. So if the players, the server step on the line and the ball not cross the net yet, it will be counting for opponent point because of the server step on the line. So the next one is the type of serve. We have underhand and overhand. So it depending on the server if he want to using underhand or overhand. So when the server serve the ball, the player cannot block or attack the serve. So during the serve, stepping on over the line, like I say, failure to serve the ball over the net or hitting the ball illegally, such as you are carrying the ball, palming or throwing, is considered as a violation. So you must using your hand to serve the ball, not you throw the ball or carrying the ball from the line. So that's a violation in a volleyball. And then as the game start, a maximum of 3 hit per side. So the maximum is 3 hit per side. So if you reach the 3 hit, you must return to the opponent, and then that's time for them to serve. So it will be repeated, serve 3 times, and then change to the other side. So the defensive team can jump and try to block the ball returning to their side, which is when we serve the ball go after the net, and then that's the time opponent can blocking the ball. So if the ball return into the court, so it's counting. If the ball go to outside, our team will get the point. So and then blocking or spike from a position which is not behind a 10-feet line while in a back row position is also a violation. So you must take note about a violation in a volleyball. There are rules that you need to follow, because if you do the violation in this team, so it will make your team lost, because you didn't follow the rule, and you will make something useless. If you want to win games or anything, you must follow the rule first, and then you can use your ability or your performance. You must give your performance in the team. So for first thing first, you must follow the rule first. If you didn't follow the rule, how your team will going to win the game? So that's all. We go to the next slide. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to talk about motor skill categories, which is we have in volleyball we have a lot categories. So skill performed in an environment that is unpredictable or that requires the performers to change the movement in the direction in the response. For example, when you are a spiker and then you spike the ball, even you are targeting on some spot, but the ball is not going to the spot that you targeting. So the opponent must do anything to get the ball, because that's only chance to them to get a point for this game. So for volleyball, you can kick the ball, you can juggle the ball if you can lah. So that's advantage in the volleyball, because you can use all your body part to save the ball, to what we call to get the ball up. So for the first one is the skill that we are going to talk is open motor skill. The example is spike. Spike is categorized as a open motor skill. So the movement happen with the unstable and changes of environment. As a spiker, you need to be on your toes and ready for every possible situation. So in this case, a spiker use stimulus identification mainly for sight. So you need to be alert, seeing where the ball is in the air and where the blockers are standing have a hitter. The response selection is what you decide to do with your hit. So that's what we call open motor skill, because the movement happen with unstable and depending on the changes in the environment. So next one is close motor skill, which is serving. So in serving, why is categorized as a close motor skill? Is it because when you are serving the ball, you control all the element and skill during the serve. So it happen in a stable environment and apply to any type of serving, like underhand and overhand serve and others. So in this case, you control all the thing that you want to do. So that's why we call a close motor skill. So close motor skill are learn repetitive and movement are predictable. So you are ready and you know what going to happen, because that's in under control. So a server need to serve the ball past the net. So like I say, okay, you look into the sun spot and then you want to serve the ball to that spot. So that's what we call close motor skill. Okay, so that's all for me. So I'm going to pass to the next presenter, which is Umi Kasum. So thank you. That's all for me.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Umi Kasum binti Isa from SR243 S2. So today I will present the stage of skill executions. Alright. For the stage 1 is this stage have a 3 stage. So first one is cognitive stage. Alright, so cognitive stage is in this stage a player is involved in knowing what should be learned drills and demonstrate block practice so that player could effectively understand what needed of them. Alright, then once get started with volleyball drills, volleyball sports, the basic skill have to be learned for a beginner's player, right? So the basic skills such as serving, digging, blocking, and then passing and hitting, they have to perform. They have to learn and perform this skill. And then the performer is inconsistent, alright, and make many mistakes in this stage. And the coach will give full commitment for a new player. So the second is associative stage. Right, so by this stage, the player has begun to understand the basic, but have to practice the skill until she develop at the natural movement. Means that the beginners have to practice the skill until they get the right skills, right? So in this stage, error movement become less, and then performance of the skill is more refined. Alright, so the last stage is autonomous stage. Alright, so the autonomous stage is when the player the player have to mastering the all skill that they has been learned. Alright, so the dribble, serving, hitting skill, and other skill, they have to be master at this stage. Alright, so and then at this stage they can adapt the motor programs very well. They can develop the motor program very well in themselves. Alright, so the players and verbal cues must mainly be centered on what athletes see. Alright, so that's all. This progress have three progress, three stage. First one is a novice stage. Alright, what is a novice stage? Alright, this novice stage, they're trying to learn a new skill or technique, and this is also known as a thinking stage. As example, athlete who learns how to serve in a volleyball. First, players need to understand how to serve accurately toward the opponent. Alright, so during this stage, athlete need feedback from the coach to find out the mistake that they do. Alright, so the second stage is an advanced stage. In this stage, our athlete have begun to show a little bit of improvement in her basic skill, which is serving, hitting, digging, blocking, and other skill. In this stage, she can collect a lot of various information and can focus on her basic skill. Even though there are some mistakes, but with a lot of training, she can decrease the percentage of the mistake that she do, and it will become more and more accurate to serve. In this stage, she will performing her training like in the novice stage, but her training more vigorous and more complicated. Alright. Alright, so lastly is the expert stage. Alright, this stage, the last stage, to develop our training, our skills. Alright, so as a new athlete at this expert stage, she capable to cope with the training that has been set up, and she play a major role in their team. Right, in this stage, she do some mistake but can fix the mistake instantly. Alright, it's mean her motor program are well developed. That's why she can adapt with the situation. But other than that, in this stage, the coach will give verbal information. Alright, but she can execute by herself without the coach have to demo the skill or what's other skill in the volleyballs. Right.
Okay, thank you Umika Asom for the good presentation. So for my name is Nurul Nadira binti Ablati. So I'm going to talk about a 10-hour rule by Erickson. So many of us are familiar with this rule, which is a 10,000 rule. So in case you haven't heard about it, the 10,000 rule, I will make you clear, which is you training or practice for 10,000 hours for 10 years. So this rule is talking about you practice for 10,000 hours for 10 years. So this is focused more on the deliberate practice. You become an expert in almost everything. So you can use this rule in anything you want. Maybe you want to be a teacher, you want to be expert in your sport, you want to get the highest achievement in your sport. So you can use this rule. So the problem in this rule is people think that this rule only focus on a skill or craft, but that's a wrong thing. So the right thing is 10,000 rules by Erickson focus on every single practice that have in your target. You want to be a good athlete, and then what training that are required. So for example, psychology training that focus on your mind, what you think, what you want to do next, that also count in that 10,000 hours. So we go to the next slide, which is we go to the next slide. Okay, so for the next slide is we focus on the athlete that use the 10,000 rule, which is the Masara binti Ahmad, who represented the Selangor in volleyball at International Open Game 2020. So in this one, she didn't know about the volleyball, so she start with the zero knowledge about the volleyball, and she tried to improve all the skill time to time. So she focused on the right type of practice all the time by getting a constant feedback. So my Sarah deliberate practice can break down to the stage, which is we have a 3 stage. For the first one is a cognitive stage, start with the learn a new skill, have a zero knowledge on volleyball, and training for 5 years. So that's a good thing of my Sarah lah. She practice, and make a mistake and learn a new thing every single day. So the next stage is associative stage, which is she already understand a basic knowledge of volleyball. She know how to dig, she know how to spike, she know how to block, she know everything. In this stage, the error movement become less because she already know what she want to do, what she want to do next, and where she want to stand in her position. So when she spike, she can go more accurate, and she can refine what she want to do, and the flow will be more smooth. So at this time, she practice for 5 hours a week, which is 720 hours equal to 2,880 hours for, this is about 4 years, I think. So we go to the next stage, which is the final stage of skill execution, which is autonomous stage. So by this stage, she already master all the skill. She can be more concentrate to do every single skill that involved. So the performance will be more faster, effortless, and more precise. In this thing, the entire sequence of shot along with the recovery occur as one whole in her mind when she reach the expert stage. Is it because what? Her effort in the practices is increased. She training 25 hours per week. So if you count, maybe a day she training 5 hours, which is she take a break on the weekend, and then she training 3 hours for morning and 2 hours for evening. So if you plus minus with the cognitive stage, associative, and autonomous stage, she actually training for 10,080 hours for 10 years. So that's make she become expert in the volleyball. So that's the example of athlete that I show to you about Ericsson rule, which is 10,000 hours for 10 years. So if you want to become an expert in anything, you can use this rule to achieve the target that you want. So that's all from me. If you have a question, you can ask me. If you don't have, we can go to the next presenter. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Mohammad Haziq bin Hussein, and today for my presentation, I'll be explaining about how practice helps athletes in skill progression. So for practice in skill progression, there are 2 important factors. The first one is practice variability and specificity. Practice variability is, of course, what type of practice do you implement on the athlete when they are learning the skill. And also, of course, the practice specificity, which is what type of training and what kind of training do you implement on the athlete. Research evidence shows that variable practice leads to superior retention and transfer test performance when compared to constant practice. So here we can see that variable practice is especially effective for athletes in general, but of course in this case for volleyball athletes, because variable practice is more suitable for team sports like volleyball. The second factor is the practice distribution. There are 2 types of practice distributions, which is the mass practice and distributed practice. So for the volleyball team sports, distributed practice is more effective where skills must be selected and performed accordingly to rapidly changing situations, and the ability to compare with other related skills may also make it an effective option when learning individual sports skills. Distributed practice means that the practice time and the practice duration is distributed so that the athlete can learn and practice skill progression in a distributed manner, where the time is set and the athlete can get enough rest. So going to the next slide. Drills implemented in 3 stages of learning. So of course, we know there are 3 stages in skill learning. The first stage is the cognitive stage. This is the earliest stage in skill learning. Most mistakes are made in this stage, but the stage where athletes is learning the most. Of course, in the cognitive stage, when the athlete newly learns a skill, that's also when learning about the skill the most, because that is the first time they are doing it. The second stage is the associative stage. The athlete understands the requirement for the skill, fewer mistakes, and more internal feedback in trying to perfect the skill. So in this stage, the athlete already gained knowledge about the skill, already know what is required to do the skill perfectly. The athlete already make fewer mistakes when doing the skill. And of course, when they're doing the skill, they are also getting internal feedback from themselves to make sure that they are improving by time. And lastly, the autonomous stage. Consistent and accurate in performing skill requires far less attention to perform skill, muscle memory established. So in compared to the cognitive stage, in the autonomous stage, the athlete doesn't need much cognitive attention to perform the skill, to execute the skill, because the skill is already in the muscle memory of the athlete. So when the athlete performs the skill, it is more to micro adjustments so that they can perform the skill. Right, so let's look into the drills that can be implemented in each of the stages. So for the cognitive stage, this is called the tabletop drill. This is a very simple drill where 2 athletes pass the ball with their forearm to each other without letting the ball fall to the ground. This skill is basically to teach beginners in volleyball how to pass the ball with their forearm properly, which area of the forearm to use, and of course, trying to let the athlete learn the most basic skill in volleyball, which is hitting the ball using the forearm. All right, for the next stage, which is the associative stage, this is called the keep it up drill. This drill is where there is one coach holding all the balls and there is one athlete on the baseline in the court. And then when the coach throws the ball forward, the athlete has to catch the ball before the ball hits the ground. So this drill is interesting because the coach can vary where he throws the ball, whether it's forward, whether it's a setup, whether it's a smash, a spike, whether it's a normal forearm hit. So this is for the associative stage. And lastly, for the autonomous stage, this is called the serve and receive. So there is one server in the one side of the court. On the other side of the court, there are 2 athletes, one receiver and one setter. So when the server serves the ball, the receiver has to receive the ball and pass the ball in a proper manner to the setter in such a way that the setter can set the ball easily for the receiver to then spike into the other back to the silver court. Yeah, so this is the autonomous stage. And that is all from me. Now I'll pass it to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Haziq. So, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Syazrina and So, I will explain about demonstration, instruction, and feedback strategies method that can be used by coaches in facilitating the athletes during the training program. So, next. Alright, for the first one is skill execution of volleyball. And the first one is overhand serve. So that an overhand serve has more speeds and power than an underhand serve, but it's often harder to control or target where it lands. Players should practice and try to use it since the returns for the opponent will be challenging. So the first step is step forward with a foot opposite than the serving hand. So toss the ball 3 to 4 feet above your head and creates a bow arrow with serving arms, contact ball open palms. And the lastly is follow through legs, transfer back to the front. So next. For the second one is passing, forearm underhand. So the athletes must focus on upcoming ball. So ensure that the athlete's arm
and hands are in the correct positions with wrists together. Yeah. The legs are a little further than the shoulder width apart with feet parallel. The ball is contact on the forearm. Upon contact, the athletes maintain a stationary straight arm position so that the ball rebound off the lower parts of the forearm and direct to the target. So the knee extend to raise the arm forward upon crack. Strengthening the legs complete. Strengthening the legs complete. The pass and the arms behind the ball and the weight transfer in the direct of the pass. So the step is wrist together, interlocks fingers and hand together. So feet parallel, arm straight, the arm straight, carry the ball, arm slightly away from the chest, extend knee forward, arm pointed downward about 45 degrees, follow the shoulder to the target. So I include a little bit about the feedback. So the elbow lock out and the platform below the waist. The ball will bounce off the platform in a true trajectory. So next. So next is attack or hitting. So the first one is athletes must demonstrate spiking motion when on the floor. Second phase is arm is swing. Arm is swing, which is start with the both arm side of body. Arm are taken straight back of the thrust forward immediately out. So third phase include athlete jumping and spiking. So and the athletes begins to jump. The jump is spiking arm raised with elbow shoulder straight. So so this is the step, quarter turns, snap wrist, elbow ups, hit shots, point to the ball, non-hitting arms, point the ball, non-hitting arms here. Step, close, 1, 2, 3, or left, right, left, or leads with elbow right, left, right. So include a little bit about the feedbacks. The whole momentum of volleyball is dictated by the teams who can get a kill and put the volleyball down. So next. So that is blocking or attack defense. For this one is the athletes must near the net, move into position with hand up quickly. So athlete focus on the ball jumps vertically so that maximum height is achieved when the ball is above net and contact. So arm wrist and extend above the head. Hands are close together with the finger opens here. The finger opens and wrists are lined with arms, wrist parallel, and hands are slightly forward. This here. So a firm and straight arm position is maintained to that the ball rebounds off hands and is not stuck. It's possible as it reach out and over the net with arm and hands point a downward position for a rebound. So that the athlete stand facing the net by keeping the upper body in control and a knees bent to absorb the shocks. So this is the steps and at shoulder, up jumps and extend, hands forwards, wrist parallel, stretch the arms. So the feedback is used to create tension on the bottom ropes of the net quickly and easily. So lastly is defensive skill. So defensive skill is focused on the ball and takes a step with a near foot in the direction of upcoming balls. The body is extremely low when playing the balls to ensure that the athlete does not hurt himself. The athlete will continue the momentum and either slide or roll out of the play. The goal is to get the ball to target and safely return the relinquishing quickly and forcefully. So the step is used together. Read the sets, arm straights, platform behind the balls, relax and cushions, each kicks up and slide arms. So the feedback is defense prevent the other team from sliding out and from transition scoring. So that's all from me. Thank you so much.